Now, there was one video of Naftali Bennet a few hours ago, actually, went on Fox News and broke down the whole situation. So I wanted to play the full thing for you guys to check out.
Naftali Bennet is here standing by, talk about the situation, the conflict, and what to do about Iran. But first, let's go to Mike Tobin. He's live in Haifa, Israel, with the very latest on the ground. Hi, Mike.
And Eric, in the last couple of minutes, there's been combat over the north of Israel. A couple of drones fired out of Lebanon made it to the town of Akko, which you can see just over my right shoulder. Those drones were intercepted from an Israeli warship. Also, Israel says a combat helicopter took out at least one of those drones. Meantime, Israel is not letting up on the pressure. The IDF has confirmed strikes in Yemen at the port of Hodeida, as well as the town of Ras Issa, at a power plant. And this follows 2 days in which Israel was the target of ballistic missiles fired out of Yemen. Those missiles were intercepted. They were aimed at central Israel, but no one was injured. Now, in both cases, those missiles were taken out. Israel hit that port back in July the 20th in response to a drone that struck Tel Aviv, killing one. Now, a day after confirmation,
referring to the back and forth between Israel and Hezbollah, another Iran proxy,
that Hassan Nasrallah had been killed. Nasrallah's body has been pulled from the rubble, and the IDF says 20 Hezbollah operatives were killed alongside him. He was hit in a suburb of Beirut, where Hezbollah built its command and control structures. In that same neighborhood, Israel says today that Hezbollah Executive Council member Nabil Kaouk was assassinated. Now, with the threat of a ground invasion, Israel has called up some 2 brigades of reservists. Also, armored personnel carriers and tanks have been moved from Gaza to the Lebanese border. While attention's focused on the north, combat continues in the Gaza Strip. Israel's 5th Brigade and combat engineers located and destroyed a tunnel about 1 kilometer long in central Gaza. It was complete with rooms for long stays underground. Engineers rigged it with explosives and blew it up. Given the threat that Iran could join the fight or expand the conflict at any time, the Pentagon says today that the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group, as well as the USS Wasp Amphibious Ready Group, with their complement of personnel and weapons, will remain in the region for a longer time. Eric?
All right, Mike in Haifa. Mike Coben, thank you. Barthel?
So here comes Naftali Bennet, going to talk about the recent situation with Hezbollah's leader.
All right, Mike and Eric, for more on this now, let's bring in former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennet. Mr. Bennet, thank you very much for joining us here. First of all, Iran says this represents a serious escalation and changes the rules of the game. So do you anticipate a consequential response from Iran, or did Israel send a strong message to Iran to stop while you can?
Well, our actions send the message. I think what we've seen over the past few hours is that Israel's iron fist can reach anywhere in the Middle East. And I think the mullahs in Tehran see it. And I think they're now understanding that if you mess with the Jewish state, we hit back powerfully, and we will no longer tolerate anyone who's threatening our people.
Okay, meanwhile, Nasrallah is dead. So I ask you, can a decapitated Hezbollah still wage a formidable fight? Also, is another IDF ground incursion in Lebanon imminent, or is there a diplomatic off-ramp?
Well, I want to clarify what our objective is. Our objective is not only a ceasefire, only for Hezbollah to recuperate. Right now, Hezbollah is temporarily paralyzed, almost paralyzed. We hit them bad. We killed their CEO, Nasrallah. We killed their board of directors. We killed their executive management. And whoever conducted the pager attack also took out much of their mid-level management. So right now, Hezbollah is in shambles, but that is temporary. If we
is referring to is that anyone that had a pager, essentially, anyone that had a pager was important, and those who didn't have a pager are still around, but they weren't that important. So they took out their entire level official, and you can see that in this photo.
We let up, then they will ultimately be able to recover and threaten our northern citizens. Again, I want to point out, for the past 35 years, they've been making our lives hell They've killed scores of Israelis. They killed my best friend. Over the past year, they killed dozens of Israelis, including 12 children playing soccer. So what we need to set as an objective is to permanently remove the threat of Hezbollah in the north.
So does that mean a ground incursion is going to be a part of that maneuver?
That's a possibility. There's a couple of ways to achieve it. I trust that the IDF knows how to get that done.
Okay, we'll move on. We're 8 days from the horrific Hamas terror attack in Israel, the day Iran tried to stop normalization between Israel.
Talking about a year later.
Israel and Saudi Arabia. Now, this morning, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham had a message about this. Let's listen.
To my friends in Israel, to my friends in Saudi Arabia, Bibi gave a great speech about the benefits of the deal. I've gone over since last April 7 times trying to help this administration normalize between Saudi Arabia and Israel. Do not give up. Do not let Iran win. Do the deal.
So I ask you, is a deal to end the Arab-Israel conflict going to get done?
I hope so. I think that sort of deal where we create an alliance of the positive countries and the moderate countries in the region, the Saudis, the Emirates, Bahrain, Egypt, etc., in order to fight and repel the horrible axis of evil of Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas. And I think that now with Israel on the offensive, we need to set a very clear goal. The goal is that within a reasonable time frame to topple the Iranian regime of the Islamic Republic of Iran. You see, that Iranian regime is the epicenter of all our problems in the Middle East. And it's despised by its own people. The Iranian people hate their regime. It's incompetent, corrupt, mean, old regime that will fall. But I think America, Israel, and the allies in the region can accelerate the demise of that regime.
How do you do it, and what's a reasonable time frame?
Well, you do it not necessarily with war, but you use a bunch of tools similar to what was used against the Soviet Union in the 80s. And I'm talking about economic sanctions, diplomatic sanctions. I'm talking about empowering the people of Iran who go out and protest. And every time they protest, the Iranian regime turns off their internet. We can take care of turning it back on. There's a lot of things that we can do to empower the Iranian people.
Yeah, I think that Trump was great with this, and that's why we need Trump back in the White House, and that's why I think Iran is waiting to respond in a big way, because they're waiting for either Kamala Harris or for it to be Donald Trump in the White House.
To overthrow their regime. And I want to make one more point. Over the past 30 years, and especially the past year after October 7th, our enemies thought that Israel has lost it, that the Israelis are weak, exhausted, sacrifice anymore, that we've lost our edge. And I'm here to say very clearly, Israel is a nation of lions. Our people, thousands of people drove down on October 7th to defend brothers and sisters, and many of them lost their lives. The state of Israel has shown that we are willing to sacrifice. We are willing to fight for freedom. We are willing to put our ideals on top of our material considerations, and we've not lost our edge. We can be clever, sophisticated, surprise our enemies, and it's only begun. So my point to the region and to our enemies, we're back big, and we can make the Middle East a much better place.
All right, that was Naftali Bennet on Fox News. Strong message. Agree with most of it. I think that Iran is terrified of Trump. That's why they're trying to kill him.